Hi, I'm Jim Brogan, and today we're going to do a whole smoked chicken. We got to make that thing nice and tender and juicy, so the first thing I'm going to do is marinate it. Welcome to another episode of Smoking with Jim. I've got my ingredients here. I've got my whole chicken here. I like the Green Wise chicken from Publix. Nice organic. They don't have all that stuff in them. And then I've got Italian dressing here, and I've got some lemon juice, and I've got a Ziploc bag. So I'm going to pour that whole bottle of Italian dressing in there and about half of that bottle of lemon juice, and I'm going to marinate that in the fridge for a couple of hours. I've got everything in here, and I have found, this is a little over a 4-pound chicken, and it's a gallon-sized bag, and it fits just perfectly. I can really get this marinade in here really well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the fridge, and every 30 minutes, I'm going to turn it and marinate it a little bit, make sure we get, all the places nice and tender and juicy. And then we'll be back here in about 2 hours. All right, I've had this in the fridge for about 2.5 hours. And I've been turning it about every 30 minutes, and now I've put my rub on it. This is my chicken rub. Now, I got this recipe from Dave Anderson. Dave Anderson from Famous Dave's. And this is real simple. It's equal parts kosher salt, lemon pepper, paprika, and Mrs. Dash original. And honestly, I go kind of heavy on this because I want it to be nice and flavorful. And so, you really don't need to go sparingly on this. So I went pretty heavy on the spice, and now it's time to put it on the grill. All right, I put the chicken on the smoker. I've got it at 375 degrees, and we're going to let that temperature come up and heat that chicken. Now, one of the keys here is to not dry out the chicken. And very rarely do you have really good chicken where the white meat is nice and tender and juicy. So the key here is not to overcook it. Now, everybody says, well, you got to get the white meat to 165 degrees to kill the bacteria. But here's what you may not realize, and one thing I've learned from my friends over at ThermoWorks. ThermoWorks makes great meat thermometers, and I use many of their meat thermometers. And what I found out is if you have the white meat over 150 degrees for at least 2 minutes and 40 seconds, it'll kill the bacteria. So you don't necessarily have to get it all the way up to 165 degrees, as long as that white meat is over 150 for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it up to 155 degrees, maybe 155 to 160 total. But I don't want to overcook that. And the other thing I've done, and you'll notice here when you look at this, is I didn't tie the legs together. Because if you tie them together, the dark meat will cook slower. And while I want the white meat to get up to about 155, I want that dark meat up over 170, maybe close to 175. So I'm going to leave that open, and I'm going to let this cook. And I'm going to let the smoker do its work. It's a great smoker. And then once it gets up to about 157, 158, I'll check it with an instant read thermometer. Make sure it's around 155 to 160. That'll put the dark meat close to 175. And then that dog will hunt. It won't be overcooked, and it'll be nice and tender and juicy. So I'll see you again. We're going to let this come up. It's going to take about an hour, 30, hour and 45 minutes. All right, I've been cooking this chicken for an hour and 40 minutes. And I mean, look at this chicken. Look at how nice and crusty that is. And I've checked the temperature. In the breast, it's 160 degrees. I'm hoping it's not overcooked. Ideally, I'd have pulled it a little bit, 155 to 157, 58. But at any rate, it's at 160 degrees, so I'm going to pull it. And now I'm going to let it set for about 10 or 15 minutes and let those juices absorb back into that chicken. And then I'm going to cut it into pieces. I'm going to cut it into quarters. I'm going to cut the breast and all of that. And we're going to have some really nice, tender, juicy smoked chicken. Okay, I've cut this chicken into quarters. So I've got the breast and the wing, and then I've got the leg and the thigh. These just literally fell apart as I was cutting them. So let's start with this white meat, because the white meat is what so often is dried out. Let's see what this tastes like. Oh my gosh, that is good. It is really juicy. Now the dark meat's what I like the most on a really good chicken. So let's just take some of this chicken. I gotta get some of that skin because it's got all that flavor with the spice. And let's see how the dark meat is.
That is lovely.
That is some fantastic whole smoked chicken. Thank you for tuning in to Smoking with Jim.